Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to 2.5Hoopers, aka THHoopers, aka Shamstrania's favorite basketball podcast. It's Friday, August 13th, and I'm your host, Jacob Lehman, freshly back in the States from Vegas. With me, also freshly back in the States from Vegas, Josh Rhodes.
Hi, guys.
And Half Hooper joining us.
Freshly
back in the States from Las Vegas, Nevada, George Martin.
Hello.
There you go. Let's say hi to the people.
Very nice.
Remember, if you like what share, make sure to follow us at THHoopers on Instagram, Twitter, G_Martin21. And then, George, what is the TikTok name? I put George on TikTok. We're going to see how that goes.
Yeah, we haven't uploaded anything. Let me go get the name really quick.
Oh, my God. You named it today.
It's all lowercase, THHoopers pod. So follow us there. I will be doing most of the uploads. I'm sure these guys will upload a little bit, but mainly just I'll pull up some tweets, talk some topics, maybe pull something from the podcast as well. So we'll see how that goes.
The first follower.
And then most importantly, this is on YouTube if you're watching it. Hello, guys. And then also subscribe on YouTube because we're going to be dropping we didn't upload twice. So we owe you guys something. There's going to be the first ever 2.5Hoopers vlog uploaded. I will try not make it too long, even though I'm looking through it. I have about 2 hours of footage from the first 2 days of Summer League. But yeah, it's going to be uploaded pretty soon here in the next few days. So it's coming out on a Friday. So expect it by the end of the weekend for sure. Hope you guys enjoy that. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. We'll get to that. But first, we shout out every comment on every platform that you guys, interact with us. So we got a little bit of business to do. We
Not
posted
that anyone
twice.
cares.
We
posted
the 13th
twice today.
Thank God you interrupted me while I'm doing the intro so you could say that. You could have waited till the end.
I thought you were
I'm about to give shout outs and you interrupted. So I'm going to go through it. Jay Guardhouse, Cole W09, JJ Butter 12, Beast Ivanovich, Tom Mag 7, and Rad Toasty. D-Stip commented almost 3 times. He was asking for a THHoopers vlog, asking you shall receive. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then also Cole W09 was wondering if we met LeBron. That was Shams. But we'll get into that real quick. We got Ben Simmons ghosting Dara Moore like a crazy ex-girlfriend. Dennis Schroder fumbling the bag. Katie being ranked over Giannis in the first GM polls of the new season. And Luka and Kawhi getting paid all at this pod. But we're going to start our mega recap pod with our Summer League experience. We mentioned we met Shams. We met Taylor Horton-Tucker. We saw Mr. Oklahoma, Nick Collison. A lot of stuff went into it, and you're going to have to watch the vlog to see
George
everything.
Took a piss next to Mr. Oklahoma.
And he had no idea it was Mr. Oklahoma, Nick Collison.
The thing that even sucks even more is I'm pretty sure we made eye contact right as I was leaving. So
and he was like, that's George Martin. And you guys knew
from THHoopers.
And he didn't say hi either. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't want to give away all the fun stuff we did. For instance, our hotel not lining up and having to audible at the last second, but I'll be in the vlog. So I want to focus more basketball-wise, and then we could give a few of our favorite funny moments. But, George, what did you see the first few days of Summer League, just seeing that action live?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting just to see the future guys of the NBA, future stars, playing against each other. And just seeing how some of these young talents are playing on the court together as well. Some teams had a few guys in the lottery. Some guys had guys who fell into the second round, especially the Clippers, who were great talents you didn't think would be there and how they played together. But, yeah, overall, it was a great atmosphere. Do you want me to get into some of the standouts and players that I want to talk about?
Sure.
All
Floor
right.
is yours.
So first off, my personal favorite player from this draft, Jalen Suggs. I know Lehman was watching me go crazy when we watched their game against the Warriors. He just looks so ready. He has a great feel for the game. He leads that offense really well, even though there was 2 other point guards out on that court. One of them being Cole Anthony, who played well in the win overall. But just
he was 1 of 9.
He competes on defense. He's also a lot more athletic than I remember him being at Gonzaga. He great finishes. I know he had a putback dunk the game after we had left, but he shows great flashes. Solid defensive point guard, which will be great for the Magic. But just overall, he showed me a lot more than I had expected coming in for him. His debut game, he had 24 and 9, I believe, something close to that. I mean, just phenomenal effort from him. He followed that up with another great game. And then my second point, the best game I think we saw, just Lehman and I, because anyways,
I
Jalen Green
saw
versus
like 65% of the game, all right?
Josh was a little bit
Josh had to
underwater.
take a phone call.
Jalen Green, Cade Cunningham, number 1 and 2 picks in the draft. They were really going at each other. Jalen Green, after the game, said he has a chip on his shoulder. He felt like he was number 1. He definitely showed that. Very aggressive scoring. Whether it was off ball or not, he was basically getting anything he wanted. Good from 3. Very explosive score, I will note. Just how he creates and gets to the cup. And then for Cade Cunningham, they were playing him off ball probably 75% of the game. They had Killian Hayes run point, which Lehman and I were discussing that we like that. And we think that Cade can exist as a 2, maybe even a 3. Depends how his body and just overall physique shapes out. But they were setting actions for him off the pick and roll, catching shoots, cutting. He was filling out the lanes. Just I didn't really expect that because at Oklahoma State, he was so on ball, so dominant, leading the offense. But if he can create an off-ball game as well with the talents he has, being able to create, score, and do all that with the ball, that's going to bode well for him offensively. So I like what I saw from both of the picks. I think at the end of the day, those two teams are they're satisfied with the guys they took. You can really go back and forth on who's going to be better between those two, but I think for both those teams, those guys are going to work out phenomenally. So that's what I got.
Well, yeah, as far as the Pistons go, we were very astute in starting lineup being announced. They have basically their whole squad except for Jeremy Grant and Plum Dog Millionaire, who they traded Plum Dog Millionaire, so they basically have their whole squad besides Jeremy.
I think
Grant.
Isaiah Stewart is going to be their starter.
Isaiah Stewart did not play.
Oh, I thought he
You
did.
think that's Sadiq maybe?
No,
Sadiq Bey would be on. If we made a starting lineup of he should not be here, he would be on there. Him, Emmanuel Quickly, like these, even Cade Cunningham maybe. Like he just looked too comfortable out there. Like these guys should not be there. Obviously, Cade should be there as a rookie, but
so Isaiah Stewart's on the summer league roster, but he must have not played. I thought he did. But
you always got to be right, Josh. Sometimes you got to take it out.
no, I don't know. I guess I forgot.
But yeah, Josh, was Rockets Pistons the best game? Because I don't think it was.
No, that would be the OT Warriors Magic game in my opinion. I think that was the best game overall. But in terms of the Houston game, that kind of really surprised me from what I saw. Detroit came out, as you guys expected, on fire. Like they just played with their normal team, and it just seemed like maybe the experience was getting ahead of them. And then the Rockets just like they flipped the switch. I think the turning point was literally when Cade Cunningham got that loose ball off Jalen Green, and he was clapping, and all of a sudden the momentum completely switched. And it wasn't even just Jalen Green. Josh Christopher had a phenomenal game. He probably attacked the most, and then he even picked up Cade Cunningham at some points and was ripping the ball. I was really kind of concerned on how his lack of defense would translate, but it seems like he's dialing in. And everybody's favorite Turkish center, Sengun, he's got a bag in there. Like George just muted himself because he's upset, but the man's got.
I don't want my fan to be buzzing in the background, so I try and mute as much as I can.
The guy's got a bag. It honestly surprised me. And he plays decent defense. He's a little bit more athletic than I thought he would be. Obviously he's still giving up the points that you would expect, but it's not terrible. Like the effort's there, and that's the main priority. And then I guess for the other point, Warriors Magic, the Warriors, they have a decent core. Like I know that Lehman hates the fact that Jonathan Kuminga just kind of the quote unquote the cum bucket, as the NBA streets have officially noted him as, but he just was getting whatever he wants. He's in the starting 5 of players that shouldn't be here, and it's its first year. Moses Moody also had a really good game. They played Gary Payton a lot, which I kind of like. Maybe he fits into that like backup role for Steph this year. We'll have to see what they do, but I mean, it doesn't seem like they're as far behind in terms of developing these players as we thought. Maybe it's just a level of competition, but maybe these players can make like a genuine impact. But and then the first day, last point, just shout out to Davian Mitchell, shut down Boak Knight. That was a big whole thing. We were wondering who was gonna. Boak Knight came out as probably like one of the more craftier scorers, probably the best offensive package with a lot of scouts, and Davian Mitchell took notice and shut him down. And maybe they're onto something with 3 guards. I don't know. I really don't know what they're trying to do up there, but yeah, those are probably the big points from that couple days that we were up there.
Yeah, the Kings, they got 3 guards, and yeah, seeing Mitchell in person, none of them should come off the bench. None of them are 6 men. Halliburton, Fox, and Mitchell are starters in this league probably right now. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Yeah, Book Knight, I didn't see a lot that I want to see from him. He comes on the floor, I'm like, okay, he's lanky. He's tall for a guard. He could definitely coexist with Melo, especially as tall as Melo is. And they could actually run a 3-guard lineup with like Melo kind of playing like that 3 role. On defense, it would be hell, but on offense, it'd be a lot of fun to watch.
That's another thing with Cade Cunningham. His directional defense isn't there yet. So playing him at the 3 is a risky situation just because on offense it would work, but we were seeing it where he was getting flipped onto like the Rockets forwards, or even like Josh Christopher, who attacks a bit more than Jalen Green, who was kind of settling and making his shots. But it just seems like he can't keep up with those guys, and especially when you get into like who is playing the forward position and even the Eastern Conference, it doesn't seem like he could play defense at the 3. Offensively, he probably can handle it, but defense is the big thing that I'm more concerned about with Cunningham.
George, I hear you're a fan. Do you want to get in here?
I actually had myself on mute, so I'm a little bit concerned, but I'm not as concerned about what? Am I lagging?
No, not your comment. Go ahead, continue.
I'm not as concerned. I mean, Josh was making a great point about how he probably can't play the 3 directly in his rookie year, but he definitely has the size to play the 3 as long as he does develop some sort of defensive game. Thankfully, they have Jeremy Grant, who's going to be able to play the 3, so he can alongside him. I think slotting him at the 2 is what we're going to see here early on, and then him running the point with bench units. That's probably what they're going to do to start.
Well, yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he fits the 3 with the skill set. He's so good on ball. And plus, they already have the front court, Sadiq Bey and Jamie Grant. You forgot Sadiq Bey, dude. They have no reason to play him at the 3.
Stewart, like they have 3.
They have their front court.
So King is a 2.
5.
And it was nice seeing him not be forced on ball. And I saw that with Book Knight too, where they were playing him off the ball with the traditional point guard to get used to, hey, you're playing with LaMelo Ball.
That Charlotte point guard could not do anything. Thank goodness LaMelo.
No, that Charlotte team is not good. But yeah, just as far as Book Knight, he was taken out of the game, I thought, just because of his size. Like, he was taller than Mitchell, but he was nowhere near as physical as Mitchell. And Mitchell, for some reason, I don't know why he took it so personally. He was drafted ahead of Book Knight, so like, it's not like he has a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. He just went at him. And I guess they're kind of like going to always be linked because of those middle tier point guards taking the lottery. But that's what I saw.
Well, Mitchell actually was a kind of a surprise at 8. A lot of people had him in like the 14 to 15 range just because of his height. Sacramento kind of gave him the platform to show out, I think, and he did just that.
And yeah, about your point was Sengun. Yeah, he's good on offense. He's got a bag. Don't tell me he was trying on defense or that he's good at defense. Don't no.
He's not good at defense.
He's not even trying. He's not in the pick and roll. They're gonna pick on him. Like he did not look good.
He needs time to learn the American style.
Good, what was he good at? I thought you said he was good. What was he? What did you see?
Good blockouts. He was doing like the George defense, where like he's kind of there, he's kind of not, but he's in position for the rebound.
And George is a horrible defender.
We're getting off topic here.
Anyways, last point for me, and I'll let you guys kind of go rampant with your final points. The cum bucket, he's.
Yo!
I mean, his whole offense is barreling into guys, and these are not NBA guys.
Oh, so, guess who won back-to-back?
No, shut up! No. We don't. No, I don't want to hear jokes right now. You say he's NBA. You want to say he's NBA? Right? He's not. He's not.
There's a difference between doing it against actual pros and like all NBA level defenders, and guys who are trying to play for their jobs, their livelihoods. It's way different.
Wait, what? That didn't make any sense.
No, it did.
No, George.
You're saying that like, oh look, if Yanni can do it, why can't Kuminga do it? But
Look, I think you should give a sec for Kuminga. He's a big body.
oh, we'll give him a second. We'll let him develop. But just right now, he's playing
No,
against guys.
I see him go on the
And,
corner
like,
like, oh my god, that's him, 6'10", NBA body. Yeah, but his shot selection's not good.
His shot selection is awful.
It's horrible, and his only points I really saw, and they're fun to watch in person. He's like getting the rim. He's like layup dunking on fools, which is something so fun to see in person, where that crowd goes ooh, and then he lays it up, like that. But I don't see any kind of bag for Kuminga, and
No bag.
now he really is the honest comparison. But yeah, I mean, do you disagree with that, Josh? Do you think there's a lot more to him that I'm not seeing? Because in person, the eye test, I'm like,
I think with the Warriors, it sucks because if they had Steve Kerr, I would have hope for him. If they didn't have Steve Kerr, I would have hope for him. But because they do, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Moses Moody fits into that team right now. I think he's ready for it. But Kuminga, him and Wiseman kind of fit in the same category, where like they're just like these freak athletes where like they kind of have a feel for the game, but they need a push in the right direction. And Steve Kerr has such a tight rope because I won 3 championships with the super team. I know what I'm doing. He just pulls the leash. Like he just pulls it way too quickly. And he just lowers the confidence of Wiseman, which he did. Wiseman stopped shooting, even though he was shooting great at the beginning of the season. And then he's probably going to do the same thing with Kuminga. Like if Kuminga turns the ball over, because his play is, I will admit, a little bit reckless. If he has bad games in terms of that, it's like he's just going to pull him. And I don't like that. But, they're not going to change Steve Kerr. So
fair enough. George, I'll get you back in here. Give me an underrated guy you saw or who you were looking for, and you see them in person, you're like, okay, I was right. Or, oh, I was wrong. This guy's actually a lot better than I thought. Or maybe you saw someone and you're like, this guy actually sucks. Maybe he's not that good.
A little bit of an intriguing one here. BJ Boston on the Clippers. He was picked, I think, like 50. And I had an eye on him because he was okay in college, and I expected him to go a little bit earlier than he did.
Terrence Clark's best friend, and Terrence Clark.
That's not it. I watched Kentucky, but okay.
Georgia, dead rappers.
I don't know why you're trying to make this point, because I told Lehman I wanted to watch him, but we had to leave because Anyways,
dumb phone call.
Just with the Clippers guys overall, they have a lot of younger guys, but they have sort of a direction here with young, athletic, somewhat like defensive-minded guys. Terrence Mann is a guy they took last year in the second round. You just look at BJ Boston. I forget who their other younger guys were, but there's definitely some sort of like team identity they have here. And then lastly, I was talking with Lehman about this because he got run sometimes in the playoffs with the Bucks, and he just won a championship. Jordan Nora looked very comfortable out there. He's a second-year guy, and I know some of those second-year guys just beat up in the summer league, but he looked very impressive.
Williams.
Yeah, Pat Williams should not be there. But I do actually think with the loss of Bryn Forbes that he'll have a somewhat decent role. It's not going to be big, like 12 to 15 minutes, but he'll get some time off the bench. So I think this is a good stride for his development heading into next season.
Josh, who were some sleepers? George picked 2 good ones. That's what we got him on here. So can you follow that up?
I guess we'll follow with the Clippers trend. Keon Johnson, he played a lot of good passing lanes. I'm a big Tennessee guy, but I was concerned about the defense. He kind of does the Ant Edwards things, but it seemed like he was a lot more grounded in these games. And I can't believe George didn't mention him. Sharif Cooper. Like, I know I have my big issues on Sharif Cooper, but he hit game winner, and he was getting buckets. And Atlanta doesn't – I don't know what Atlanta's doing, but they just drafted the same guy, Trae Young, just with less of range. But they're like the same build. They play the same way. So, I mean, like, hey, if it works, like, don't mess with it.
Yeah, we saw that game winner on the small court too. So I could tell what color his eyes were. Like that's how close we were. They're brown. But yeah, it was a lot of fun watching.
Weird, man.
Oh no, I looked.
You have no idea what color his eyes were.
I saw Bobby Portis' eyes too because he was courtside there. I really wanted to picture him.
We tried to get a selfie with Crazy Eyes Portis. It didn't work out.
I was hopping over stands. I was yelling at him. Kawhi and PG were on one side and Bobby Portis on one side. Me and George really
Locked in
trying
on
to get to
Bobby.
Bobby Portis. But yeah, we had a lot of fun at Summer League. Thank you so much for the NBA for flying us out. It was a great time.
We'll be back
but-
next year, hopefully, if they want to send that invite again.
George, give your best off the court moment from the trip. Only give one. Don't give only one. And I know which one you're gonna pick.
George is gonna narrate the whole trip.
Come on. Meeting THT, a Laker, a champ. That was great. You can see my smile going right through our masks that we're on, Lehman as well. Josh is standing there like THT is meeting him.
Josh was too cool for Taylor Horton Tucker.
Stone cold, emotionless face, like, yeah, I'm here. But that was fun. We got his autograph. The funniest part about that moment too is Josh wanted him to sign his phone like on Snapchat with with
And
your
he
handwriting.
grabbed the Sharpie.
He grabbed the pen. He's like, "You want me to sign the phone?" We're like, "Yeah." And he's like,
"For real?" I was like, "No, it's a
Wait.
Snapchat. It's Snapchat."
I'm like, "You never done this before?" He's like, "Not really." And he starts to go, and Josh is like, "No, like Snapchat with your hand." He's like, "Oh, I see."
And it turned out so good too. He wrote that with love. Perfect spot. Like, oh my god.
And like, if you look at the autographs we got, it's this. He looks like a carbon copy on the phone.
You think
I dare y'all to say
No, I just mean it's impressive that it looks the same with using his fingers
with his big
of-
ass hands too. I don't know how he fit that on Josh's iPhone 7.
Dap that guy up. My hand was like.
Yeah, mine got swallowed too. Yeah, Josh didn't want to. I don't think Josh wanted to be there. He didn't dap up THT. He didn't smile for the picture.
We're taking the picture. I mean.
Well, I walked right. They're like, next. I went first, dapped him up. I said, "Congrats on the contract and bring home number 18," and that's it.
And what do you say back?
He said, "Yes, sir, we'll do." I'm like, "That's my man."
Like we can't have 3 Georges, you know.
Well, there were 2 of them. I was like, "Hey, hi Taylor. Can I get a handshake?" And then
we were beaming with emotion, dude. It was. I just walked up to him, locked eyes, and I was like,
because you and him were on a first name basis. Josh, favorite off the court memory.
Probably the hotel fiasco. We I mean that was kind of funny. Like, just
didn't look funny to you in the moment.
I was not happy.
I kept telling Josh like it'll be okay, and he just kept going. He was freaking out on me. It was not fun.
I was mad because I was like, "Am I gonna get my money back? Are they gonna pull a fast one on me?"
Did
I was
you?
more concerned about the refund. I'm waiting a response.
Damn,
but my favorite moment was I was like looking for hotels, and Lehman was like, "Last resort, like I'll go get an older woman to get us a room."
Yo.
And for a split second, like I was so like in a completely different mental state of mind. I was really for a good second considering it. I was gonna go.
Well, we came up there like anyone here 21, and as soon as that happened, I was like, I mean, I'm sure we could find someone, but
like,
we ended up finding a
like,
Best
if
Western.
you can find someone to check in for you, I felt the light bulb from your head go into my head. Like it was the weirdest thing in my life.
Baskin Robbins has a very strict demographic: kids and the people who take them to get the ice cream. So I'm familiar with both. My favorite memory: we walk in to the summer league. 2 minutes later, we see Shams. And George just goes, "Let's go up to him." I'm like, "Okay, let's go up to him. Let's go get a picture." And George is sitting there. I'm like, "You want to go?" He's like, "Yeah, let's go." Just staring at me. I'm like, "Does this mean I'm asking?" He's like, "Yes, it does." At least he was honest that he was very, very scared to meet Shams, but called Shams sir. Gave him a fist bump. Pointed at him in the picture. Shams is I don't know. He took his mask off, so like I don't know if like what that means. I'm not trying to get anything started, but
my favorite is in the picture. It's you and Shams left over right, George right over left.
me and Shams are connected.
Beaming. I haven't smiled that big in a few months.
George looks like Yogi Bear in the Shams picture. If you haven't seen it, go check it out at THHoopers. It'll probably be. It did numbers on George's Twitter too, G_Martin21. But it's long gone. George was live tweeting the whole time. So if you could find that picture, God bless you.
Sharif Cooper hit the game winner, and George didn't even celebrate. I was like finishing celebrating. He was typing. He was almost done with the tweet.
George is raw on Twitter. He's raw. But yeah, like we said, guys, the vlog, I'm going to make sure it's not too long because like THHoopers probably like a 7-minute like max, and then you're like, all right, these guys should probably shut up. That's where we're moving on from Summer League right now. But it'll be on YouTube. By the end of the weekend, I'm gonna try and get it uploaded. I'm gonna try and figure out how to use iMovie on my iPad. But we'll see. Work's kind of kicking my ass. So
we got some cool sequences.
Mhm.
You got the one at the end of the Kings Hornets game, that block off the back.
And then
dunk.
Disgusting poster.
And then I got a lot of George insight on halftime. I don't think I'll use all of them, but I got a lot of George spotlights. But yeah, that was Summer League. Check it out on YouTube. THHoopers. It'll try to correct you to the Hoopers. We're not the Hoopers. We're THHoopers. So you should be able to find it. All right, moving on. Ben Simmons is kind of being a little hoe.
There you go.
So last time we got on here, he was like, I'm gonna work on my jumper. I'm gonna stay on from Team Australia, and I'm just gonna, we'll see what the Sixers do. Sixers were on the fence about trading him. Ben Simmons makes the first move. He has cut all contact with the Sixers, and he will not report to training camp under any circumstances. And he hopes to be traded ASAP. So Josh,
Warriors.
Is it to the Warriors? He wants
the
the
Warriors
Warriors.
or the Lakers. Those are his two big destinations.
Lakers aren't happening.
If Ben Simmons, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm trading Ben Simmons to
Portland.
somewhere purgatory. I'm trading him to the Kings. I'm going to the Kings.
Oh my god! If they get De'Aaron Fox from the home, I'm gonna riot.
I'm sending Ben Simmons where he wants to go.
The Kings were interested in Simmons, but Philly was like, "Give us 3 firsts and De'Aaron Fox," and they're like, "Hold on, we don't want to give you De'Aaron."
So Josh,
Fox.
do you think this will get done? Because it seems like Philly's perception of him is warped, but he's not going to go back, so they lose
so at
even
first
more leverage.
At first, I thought it was just kind of like one of those weird things, and then I heard that he's ignoring Joel Embiid's phone calls, and I was like, okay, that sucks. Like, he really, I don't know. Like, Philly, the thing is, Philly's always been kind of like they don't really have a great reputation. Obviously, this is completely wholeheartedly on them. But, especially after the Jimmy Butler incident, we've seen how they handled Allen Iverson. Philly kind of had a little bit of reputation of being kind of kicking players to the curb. But for him to ignore the calls, I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt because he probably is just not working on his jump shot. I think eventually it'll get done. Once he doesn't show up to training camps and once he doesn't show up to the preseason games, even is there with the team, I think something will get done. I think Philly will have to settle. It's not going to be a good look for Morey, but they're going to have to settle because otherwise they're just paying a player to not show up, be MIA. So
I'm not going to let Ben Simmons play the victim. That's just not going to happen here. I don't care what the
he's not. He's not the victim.
He is he's playing the victim though. He's acting like a little.
He is Ben
all right, George, get in here.
So I actually don't think he's at fault here. I mean, right after Game 7, his play is at fault, of course. He obviously, him and Embiid haven't worked out. We saw what happened at the end of Game 7, but his coach and his best teammate, literally threw him under the bus after the game. Embiid said,
"George, I'm gonna tell you this right now. If we're in a game and you miss a layup to win the game, I'm going to say you missed the layup."
You're going to blame that sole point.
No, not so hardly, but it's the same situation. It's not Embiid threw him under the bus, but he also said other reasons as to why
Embiid. One of Embiid's quotes is, "I'll be honest. I thought the turning point was when I don't know how to say this, when we had an open shot and made one free throw." And then after the game, Doc was asked a question saying whether he believes Simmons could be the point guard on a championship team. Doc said, "I don't even know the answer to that right now," essentially saying that he can't fill that role on their team. Do you blame him that he doesn't want to answer the calls to those people? I necessarily don't.
George,
I do
getting
think he's
paid $30 million. He can handle a couple comments about him being afraid to shoot. Genuinely,
I don't know. I do get what you're saying, but I don't. I think with those comments, I don't necessarily blame him. Now, could he he could handle it better, but
so why didn't he just request a trade? Why didn't he just be?
He basically he essentially has, but I feel he kind of.
Can I give the timeline of Ben Simmons getting drafted? Sure. They draft him. He misses the whole first year. They don't care. They pair him with Joel Embiid. They swing for the fences, trade for Jimmy Butler, trade for Tobias Harris, try to build a winning team. They could very well be 2019 champions if Kawhi does not make that crazy shot. So there's no talent excuse. Guys like Dame Lillard are in their 9th year, and they can't make the conference finals because the team will not give them enough players. Philly has done that. In the whole season this year, they hire a player-friendly head coach, Doug Rivers. In the whole season, he's in his corner. We can win the way Ben plays. Ben makes winning plays on defense. He doesn't need to shoot, all this stuff, da-da-da. And you blow the game for your team in Game 7. The guy you're guarding is the talk of the town. Trae Young, who's 9 inches shorter than you, and he's still the talk of the town, beats your team. And you can't handle 2 comments. You can't sack up and get your jumper right after 5 years of them having your back. Now that's the straw when there's 2 comments made.
Like I said, those are definitely valid points. The way he's handling it, I think I do have a little problem with. I don't blame him essentially for not answering certain calls, but saying that he's not going to show up to the preseason, he's not even going to walk into the training facility and just not put on a uniform. I think that is a little much. So yeah.
I'm sorry, he's a grown-ass man. Answer the calls.
I get it. He has to be professional at some point. He can't just keep ghosting him like he's a teenager. I get it. At some point, he's got to, whether it's media day, whether it's preseason or training camp, he has to at some point go, and he can't hold out. I mean, I know people do that in football, but well, yeah, he could, but I think he needs to be a little bit more professional, especially if he wants to get traded. I think he has to. He can't do stuff like this. He can't put on an act because that's warning signs from teams who might.
I mean, I just had a sour taste in my mouth about Ben Simmons just because I know he doesn't like basketball. He's just there because he's tall and he's got good instincts, but he doesn't like basketball. He doesn't want to practice. Doesn't want to play for his country when they have a team that could win gold. He doesn't like basketball.
Mean, he also said that he's completely fine with racking up defensive accolades, getting his whatever stats he gets, and then getting the large contract he has. He literally just says, "I'm gonna live my life, do what I want, go out there and play like it's a chore." I don't know. He just doesn't.
Josh, your name concerns Ben Simmons, so wrap us up here.
Oh yeah, Ben, no missed call Simmons because he doesn't think he's missing any calls. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when a team's paying you that much money, the least you can do is do it respectfully. I mean, obviously, Daryl Morey has had a rep also with the players, and so does Philly as a franchise. But at the end of the day, they're paying you, and so if they tell you straightforward, you need to fix something, they're investing their money into you because they think you're a legitimate piece to a championship contender. And when they call you out on stuff that you need to improve on, you can't back away like a little baby and just say, "Oh, I want to get traded, and I'm just not going to talk to anybody because you guys are just going to criticize me." That just proves that he's not really into what he's doing.
Grand Slam over the fence. Moving on. I know George's ready to talk about this. I think we're all ready to talk about this. Dennis Schroder signs with the Boston Celtics on a 1-year, $5.7 million contract. I just have written down here, just cringe. We're going to talk about it. He put on a story "Yes, sir, Beantown," and he's in the 17 jersey. It's retired. You can't even wear that number. Nothing about it is right. In February, right by the trade deadline, that's when the contract extension deadline is, he was offered 4 years, $84 million by the Lakers, the max they could offer him. And he said, "No, I'm going to wait till free agency. I'm going to play the market." Well, he ended up playing himself. He gets this contract. It's very Nerlens Noel-esque, although I would say this is much worse because Noel was it was a weird situation with him and the Dallas Mavericks. But George, how is this an F free agency for Dennis Schroder, or is the fit with Dallas kind of come into play? What is your take on this?
I mean, I guess I'll start with the positives. I don't think this is the worst fit for him. I think it's actually okay. Boston's going to have a nice defensive lineup. They'll be relevant. They'll get to the playoffs. So he definitely has a chance. This is his prove it deal. So he'll have a chance to show out. This is really his. I'm not gonna say it's his last chance, but he really has to show out to guarantee himself a decently sized contract. I think that 4 for 84. I don't think he's ever hitting close to that again, especially with everything that just happened. But yeah, getting to the the part I guess everyone's here for, the negatives. I mean, it's just a complete fall from grace. I mean, he came in day one, wanted to be the starter on a championship team that the previous season had won with their star in your roles. That was their motto. And just throughout the year, there was just some times his ego got too big. He got put in COVID protocol twice, 0-point playoff game, declining the contract, obviously. And just even when he had gotten neglected by multiple teams in free agency, we still saw reports with the Celtics that he wanted more years and more money. Boston could only offer him the contract he got. Like, they literally almost didn't sign him because of that. He's like, I want multiple years and I want the full MLE, which they didn't have. So it's just like he just had like no self-awareness throughout the whole thing. And I mean, he was posting himself skateboarding on Instagram. It's like, dude, you're trying to get a contract, something close to replicate what you lost. But I mean, it's just it also does kind of suck. Like, he did try and bet on himself to get a larger deal than what he turned down, which I don't think he was ever really getting, no matter what, unless the Lakers won it all. So it does suck, but I mean, it's you live and you learn, like you say, Lehman. I think he has a really good shot at getting a decently sized contract next offseason, 2 to 3 years, 15 mil. That's probably the most I can see him getting. So I am rooting for him a little bit. I mean, I don't like the Celtics, but hope the guy gets something good next year.
Yeah, know yourself, know your worth. It did not turn out too good for him. Josh, should he fire his agent? Is this a fumbling of the bag like we've never seen?
I'm gonna keep it $1. This is probably Schroder, because this is the second time he's done this. Because I saw a video where it was like, oh, I know Schroder's got that one friend where it's always like, take the money, stop betting on yourself, and then
deal or no
he just doesn't take it. He did it with Atlanta, and then now he's doing it here with the Lakers. He just like, nah, I don't want it. I'm gonna get more, and then he just blows it. Pause. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's his agent. If I'm gonna be honest, his agent's probably like, take the money, like, idiot, 4 for 84 before, like, unless you don't want to be here, but you've stated that you want to be here, like, just take the money. Like, don't think that they're going to offer you more money later on. Like, they're not. But, I mean, he's probably going to do it again. And I'm going to tell you, he's probably going to have a great season at Boston. It's probably a great time to be a Boston Celtic fan. And then he's going to move on to another team that's going to overpay him. And the cycle will continue for Dennis Schroder.
Yeah, beautiful deal for the Celtics. You get this guy who's probably he's worth 15 mil. Like, he's
needed a point guard.
Well, here's the thing: they're asking him to come off the bench. That's what they have in mind. They want him to back up Marcus Smart.
Yeah, why do they want to play Marcus Smart at point guard?
Maybe they want to run point Tatum, and they'll just have Smart essentially at the 2.
They should run point Jaylen Brown, if anything.
One of them will run the point.
If Jason Tatum gets the ball at the top of the key, nobody else is getting the ball in that position.
George, do you think Schroder thought he had leverage because he was the only point guard Lakers could really target? And then Rob Pelinka's like, hippity hoppity, here's Russell Westbrook. And now Schroder's kind of kicked to the curb. Because, like, that's what I kind of think it was. I think Schroder's like, yeah, I'm sitting pretty. They're going to try and do all this, and they're going to re-sign me on bird rights. And then they trade for – I know not a lot of people like Russell Westbrook, but I think everyone knows he's better than Dennis Schroder. So, I mean, do you take that into account?
I mean, yeah, that's really the only thing he has, because he can't look at the market, and I mean, unless he thinks he's a really, really great, starting point guard. The point guard market was so deep. Dinwiddie, Lowry, even
Lonzo, Chris Paul.
Lonzo, Chris Paul, thank you. I blanked there. Even Kemba when he had gotten bought out. There's no way he thought that he was going to be, a premier guy, a premier get for some of these teams. So, yeah, I mean, the leverage ploy definitely makes sense. Lakers don't have a ton of cap. They didn't have a ton of assets to work with. So Dennis is probably thinking, I'll go out there, I'll wine and dine some teams, then I'll get, a substantial amount of money. And then you don't want to play a bad guy to Rob Pelinka. He will move fast.
He thought he was going to get wined and dined. He had to start wine and dining teams. Like, please, like, can I get a contract? Final thought here, Josh. Is this an upgrade for the Celtics over Kemba Walker?
Yes.
I agree as well. I think the defense makes.
I think you're overstating Dennis Schroder's defense.
I think you're overstating the fact that Kemba Walker simply was not a bucket in Boston. He was not. He didn't do. He's smiling and they're losing.
Dennis Schroder only cares about himself too, right?
He was useless.
What was Dennis Schroder in the last 2 months of the
might only
season?
care about himself, but he's playing on a 1-year MLE right now. If he cares about himself, he's going to go out there and play hard.
I don't. If they ask him to come off the bench, I think it could be a disaster. I really do.
He did it in Oklahoma.
I'm all in on Dennis Schroder's talent. Like he's got. I'm not one of those Laker fans who are like, oh, he scored 0 points to play.
Well, Josh, let's also be real. There's no way in hell he thought he was starting over Russ. He comes into the Lakers, no clear point guard because they lost Rondo. No clear point guard here. Maybe he thinks he's better than Marcus Smart. Lehman does have a point here.
As soon as training camp starts, they're gonna put Marcus Smart and Dennis Schroder 1-on-1 constantly, and we'll. I mean,
pray for those rims.
Also, I want to say something, Lehman. You did say that the Celtics officially signed Isaiah Thomas. They did not.
I thought I saw that they did.
They did not.
I thought
you got bamboozled.
It was. I didn't get bamboozled.
They were strongly considering it.
Because sometimes I get bamboozled. Sometimes I get a random post, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then
they did not.
What was the "Oh my god" you got during summer league? You got or before?
No, I was working, and I saw that DeMar DeRozan was going to sign for the MLE with the Lakers. I was like, "Damn it, no!" And then
it was like Knicks forever or something.
It had like 3 likes. I was like, "Why is this popping up on my post notifications?" But sometimes that happens. But yeah, I'm not huge as far as the Dennis Schroder redemption tour. I think he's going to be upset that a guy like Marcus Smart, who's clearly better than him, is starting over him because, offense. But we'll see. Moving on, a little less heavy of news. Dennis Schroder's offseason sucked, but, a lot of players' offseasons are pretty good. KD won the gold, and now people are calling him the best in the league once again. Giannis had that title for about a month. And, KD ranked first in new GM poll, first one of the new season. I'll start with George here. Should Giannis have at least kept this title of best player in the world for until the start of the season? I know we had the Olympics and KD played great, but
I do.
Do you agree with the poll?
I mean, I can't necessarily disagree. He was the guy who saved Team USA essentially, third in the closeout game. It also could be a little recency bias, oh here look, KD carried Team USA and they won gold, whatever. They're already forgetting about what Yanni did in the finals and all the history he made. So I get it. Though I expect those guys to be 1-2 anyways. I'm not going to sit here and act like, it's a shame that KD's over him. So I'm okay with it. Those two are definitely the top 2 guys going into next year from what we witnessed this last season.
Josh, KD first or KD not?
One. Right now, it's just so hard to bet on Durant. I mean, you could even argue he outplayed Giannis in in the Nets Bucks series. You could argue, George. I agree.
He doesn't like to argue.
Yeah, gosh, but I don't. He didn't do anything this year that makes me go, he's not the number 1 player in the world. That's what I had the difficulty with. He didn't do anything to lose his spot, and
he didn't win the title.
Is that really his fault, though? I mean,
Giannis had teammates going 4 for 20, and he won the title. We can't just be like,
didn't have teammates, actually. Kyrie?
Yeah, he didn't really either. Chris Middleton didn't show up.
Why does KD get so many excuses for the title? If you want to bring up the Team USA thing, yeah, he did. Yeah, you could play that card.
No, I'm saying George
he did
point
to fall out of the number 1 spot, not make it past the second round.
Yeah, because of injuries. I mean, there's only so much a player can do. He's not.
I don't like giving the number 1 player in the NBA an excuse. I feel like that just doesn't really add up.
I mean, all right, but you've done that before. You put KD over LeBron, and KD missed a whole year.
How is that an excuse? I just had faith in him.
You gave him the benefit of the doubt because he missed.
Yeah, that's not an excuse. That's benefit of the doubt. That's my prediction. This happened, and you're saying no, it doesn't really count because I
mean, it's not like he played bad. He had multiple 40-plus point games.
And he also couldn't keep his foot behind the line. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you're giving him such a pass. They were in Game 7, close game.
He didn't do anything to make him.
They were in Game 7, close game, and he couldn't pull it out. Giannis did.
0 for 6 in overtime. Double overtime. KD? Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
that was easy.
I mean, I personally think he hasn't done anything to make him out of the number 1 spot. But sure, if you want to blame the the second round loss on Kevin Durant, who had 49 points and kept them in the game and the series. Go for it.
You're acting like I'm being irrational here. The guy who who I have number one beat your number one.
Okay,
and
that's
both
fine.
them have very unstable teammates.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna say that health, even if Drew Holiday's impact's still there because he's playing defense.
I mean, George, do you feel like am I being irrational here? Is he giving KD excuses he doesn't deserve?
Yeah, I mean, well, I get a little bit of bias here, but yeah, I do think the guy won Finals MVP, put up historic numbers all playoffs.
I'm not denying that Giannis is 2.
In that series, you look at what he put on just the whole series and what his teammates gave him. I mean, it's kind of unfair to be like, oh, well, KD didn't have enough. I mean, Giannis really didn't have a whole heck of a lot besides one every other 3 games. Chris Middleton.
He had Drew, a timely Pat Connaughton 3 a game. And
I don't think Drew shot over 35%.
I don't know why we're undermining the fact, the impact that we were talking so high. We can bring up previous recordings how we were talking so highly of Drew Holiday's impact on defense and how that helps the team.
In that series.
Giannis, it's not an excuse. But now we're just quickly forgetting that. It's oh, Giannis did all on his own.
In that series, not in the Nets series. Who was he guarding?
Who?
Holiday. Yeah.
Harden.
I thought KD had no team.
You even said it yourself. Holiday can't leave Harden open because if he's open at all, he'll make the 3.
Harden wasn't moving, man. I mean, his defense didn't have as big of a presence as it did. What? It's true. He wasn't guarding guys out there like he was Devin Booker.
I'm okay. We're going in circles, but I know you're saying your number one beat my number one. I'm just saying that
that's not the whole premise.
Thing.
No, what I'm saying is you're giving this guy an excuse, and it's the biggest excuse in the book. He had no help.
Well, he really didn't.
Oh my god.
He doubled down. Move on.
I mean, he was his team got injured. That's out of his control.
Why couldn't you argue the Team USA point? You pick this point. It doesn't make any sense. Why you're giving? You're saying the best player in the NBA gets to have an excuse.
No, I'm not.
The whole reason he shouldn't be number one. You're like, you know what? Throw it out. It's okay.
Your argument. I'm not throwing it out. I'm just saying your argument is solely based off one team beat another team. And the best player on the one team the other team.
I'm saying they're both in Game 7, and Giannis pulled it out. But if KD's the best player and he had no help, why was it that close?
Yeah, exactly. Why was it that close when one guy had no help?
We should move on here. I don't really see.
I'm just saying I'm gonna go KD 1. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with Giannis at 1, but.
Doesn't seem like I'm Giannis at 1. Historic numbers in the NBA Finals. KD, though, did save Team USA. Moving on, some Mavs news. Two little interesting factoids in the news about the Mavs. We'll start with the good news. Luka Supermax. He is in Dallas for a long time. $207 million over 5 years. Oh, my God. That's the money. Obviously well-earned. No question about that. Were you surprised that he signed it, George, after the kind of debacle they had this offseason where he kind of wanted a whole revamp of the coaching staff in the organization?
No, because I think he has faith in them, and I think he wants to be there. Dirk's a huge mentor to him. They have him around in the front office solely because of that. I think that's where he wants to be. He wants to win a chip there, and I think he has faith. We've seen Mark Cuban, his quotes about what he would do to get Luka and that team help, although actions speak louder than words. They didn't do a whole heck of a lot. They did get Reggie Bullock. I don't know how that necessarily helps, getting another creator, playmaker guy who can get his own next to Luka, but we can talk about in the offseason. But I think there was no doubt this was happening. I didn't think he was going to hold off much. We've seen these other stars in smaller markets sign. Maybe a trendsetter, not a lot of people had a ton of faith in that front office. They go get Drew Holiday. They sign a guy like Portis, get these key guys. Maybe Luka thinks that his organization can follow.
Josh, are you nervous at all that now Luka's making upwards of 50 mil a year, 45 or so? It's going to be even tough. They couldn't get him help when he's making 10 mil. Now what's going to happen when he's taking up 1/3 of the cap space? And it was very tough. They don't have a great reputation of getting their guys help. They gave Dirk, 06 was great. And then in 11, they had that like magical run. The Dirk was taking pay cuts and they couldn't get Dwight Howard.
They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They lost Nash, and then they got lucky with Josh Howard and Jason Terry. It wasn't even like they built anything. I'm more concerned about the fact that now that they've invested so much money on Luka, they're going to make some pretty questionable decisions because of Luka's like kind of influence on the front office.
He now has an iron grip on the franchise.
Yeah, so I feel like they might not be making the best moves because they're kind of directed towards what he wants. They, like George said, they really didn't do a whole heck of a lot. I mean, they got Reggie Bullock, but I mean, in my opinion, they're still kind of the same team, just maybe a few different faces who do those things a little bit better. But they still have some pretty big noticeable flaws that they didn't really go at in free agency or the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I just occurred to me like they don't really do a whole lot to get their stars help. Like I said, Dirk was taking pay cuts and they couldn't get past the first round. Mark Cuban doesn't have they're giving Chandler Parsons max money. Like they don't have the bet. They lost to Blake Griffin as far as recruiting DeAndre Jordan, the comedian. They lost to him when they already had the contract signed.
And honestly, it's not even that much they need. I know they just need a secondary guy. It doesn't even have to be the superstar. I mean, obviously, if they do get a superstar, watch out because they'll run the West. I know that. Thank God that didn't happen. They'd be winning Western Conference titles every other year. But just somebody else who can take a load off Luka, and just score, help create. Because like a guy like Bullock is nice. He can.
Well, Tim Hardaway Jr. is supposed to be that guy.
He's not.
But is he a guy you're going to ask to like score off the dribble? Not really. They need another.
Yes, he is.
He can, but he's not consistent. He's a great six man. But when you put him in the starting lineup with Luka, he's a very good player, but he's not that second guy you want for Luka. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, George, but continue.
No, that's essentially it. I mean, just somebody who can go get bucket and ISO score. I mean, it's not a whole lot. Just Luke. The reason why they choked that lead against the Clippers, 2-0, they were almost up 3-0. Luka really just ran out of gas. I mean, he was doing everything. He was creating. Guys weren't scoring, and then, I mean, he just got tired. And I don't feel like there might be a little bit too much. We might be overlooking it. They don't need a crazy star talent. Just a fringe all-star guy who can start and get his own. Really,
CJ McCollum does not make the Mavs a championship contender. It's the West. Like you need another star. Or you need Luka to get in shape. Either one of those.
What if they traded, like Brunson and Porzingis, and I throw Dorian Finney-Smith in there for Ben Simmons? Like, let's say Philly settles.
You want to surround Luka?
Oh, that's a weird fit. That's a weird fit.
Simmons at the 5. Another ball handler.
I don't
know,
know.
But you need someone who can score outside of Luka.
Ben Simmons is a fit because don't tell me a 2019 stat line right now. Ben Simmons has regressed.
That was actually last season.
In the playoffs?
No, he scored 42.
It was against the Jazz when Embiid wasn't playing.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, and Luka's going to take the ball even more out of Ben Simmons' hands, so he's going to be an off-ball player. Yeah. And you want to surround Luka with less shooting? I don't really like that too much. But yeah, speaking of the iron grip Luka has in the franchise, he's the reason they hired Jason Kidd. He gave them glowing, what's the word? Referrals, I guess? I don't know. He liked Jason Kidd. And, they steal him from the Lakers. And then all this stuff, kind of comes out. Like Jason Kidd doesn't have the best reputation.
He abused Giannis.
You remember two things. It's the Nets where he drops the cup to get a free timeout, which is 1,000 IQ play. And then also Giannis, loving him. Giannis loved him. He tried to save his job, all that fun stuff. But it's coming out now that he's not a great guy, and he doesn't really treat his players that well. And, he kind of pushes them a little too hard, which in this day and age, I don't love. And then I'm not seeing a lot of people mention this. Luka got his coach fired. He does. I don't know if he loves to be coached because I feel like Luka thinks he knows best, which he probably does. So if Jason Kidd tries to try that, hey Luka, coach him hard, he might just piss Luka off even more because Rick Carlisle is a decorated head coach and Luka wanted him out. So now he wanted the whole front office out. So I just feel like not many people are realizing, like Josh said, this iron grip he has in the franchise can really be a detriment to them because it might be a coaching carousel until you get like a Ty Lue type, a yes man to what LeBron wanted, as far as like a simile type there. Josh.
I don't know. I mean, he made Larry Sanders depressed. It's like, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe he thinks Jason Kidd's just like he looked at the player coach role, and like you were talking about, like Jason Kidd and Luka are kind of, and they've had the same situations in their career. They're both talented point guards who had a little bit too less to really compete in their conference, but they were always like a name. So maybe he used that as relatability to kind of reel him in. But this kind of just adds to the whole agenda we were talking about, that the Mavs front office is full-heartedly set on pleasing Luka Doncic. And they just got to hope that, he says things that actually make sense. But, we'll have to see.
George, my thoughts on Jason Kidd. I didn't like it from the start. I think he's a good assistant coach because he can kind of he's like the stepdad that like comes in. He's like, hey, like, I know your dad's a little tough on you, but like we could do this, this, and this. Now he's the dad. Now he's the man of the house, and he's got to be that guy. I don't think he'd be that guy because he just does have that coaching style, that kind of personality. But what do you think about like the reports coming out and how he kind of fits with Luka now, knowing these reports coming out?
I mean, this isn't necessarily surprising. I think he has some sort of domestic abuse allegation. I don't know if it ever came to fruition or what that was about, so I'm not going to speculate, but it's interesting because like players love him. When he left the Lakers, LeBron sent him like a farewell message. I'm assuming LeBron brought him on. We talk about he's a player's coach, like you had just mentioned. So it's interesting to see all that come out, and it's also interesting to see that Yanni, we know the story. He storms into the front office, says, "Please bring him back," and then you see a report saying like he's screaming at these guys that he doesn't effing care, if it's Christmas the day before they're getting paid. I don't know, maybe it wasn't as negatively received by the players as it is by the media currently. It's just a slippery slope. And then with Luka, assuming that's the guy he wanted, I don't see much of a problem. You do have a point where you don't know how much Luka likes being coached. It's kind of almost like a LeBron thing. Those two do get compared. It's almost like, he kind of just runs the show. I mean, what's a coach going to do? Tell Luka to do something differently when, he's been playing like an MVP damn near his whole career. So I don't necessarily see a problem with the fit there. So I'm not as worried. The reports do scare me a little bit, but I would think there was something like an investigation or review done before they hired him. I don't think they would blindly hire him without knowing this, but who knows?
And Luka, he really struck me as a diva this offseason. He's one of my favorite players. But yeah, he kind of freaked out, got everyone fired, brought in his own guys. But yeah, like you said, like I've never been an expertise in anything. But if I am great at what I do and then someone comes in and I disagree with what they're telling me to do, I'm gonna get annoyed. So I'm kind of nervous to see how that turns out. But that's kind of the Mavs news. I do want to kind of throw an audible at you guys real quick. Did you guys hear about the tampering stuff? NBA cracking down on. So it's not in the notes, but I'll leave it George then. We'll mention it very quickly. The Bulls and the Heat, where we kind of mentioned like we had the Kyle Lowry trade package the day before free agency, and now two weeks later they're like, you know what? Something ain't adding up.
That's a little sussy.
They're like, oh wait a minute, they're not supposed to talk. So is this just them pretending to care? Like, so they can like do it because their tampering rules are so weird.
They're picking and choosing, and I don't necessarily like that because the Bucks got fined for this last offseason not being able to acquire
Bojan.
Bogey.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that might have been different because it was like they acted like they had agreed to it. This was kind of just like there was a package floating around. Maybe they only negotiated the offer and didn't come to terms.
They're like, Woj just guessed correctly. Like, Woj is just nice like that.
Because with the Bucks thing, it was like they have agreed. With this, it was just there was a deal in place, but they never had agreed formally. I don't really know. Teams do this all the time. Lonzo to the Bulls was done at 6:01 Eastern Standard Time when free agency started at 6. I mean, if you guys were, I don't know if you guys were working. I was looking at my phone during free agency. Within the first 4 minutes, there was at least like 8 deals, and they're not going, okay, 6 Eastern, let's call our guys up. We have a deal in place in 3 minutes. Teams talk way before. I think it's fine. I don't know why there's like a legal tampering thing. Like all teams should be able to discuss numbers, and then by the time we get to 6, the guy can decide where he wants to go. A deal's in place. Boom, bada bing, we're done. So yeah, I don't. If you're gonna crack down on this, you have to crack down on all of it. You can't be selective. It's a bad look. I mean, I think the Bucks should still be pissed. I mean, they obviously won the title, so maybe they don't have to be, but they missed out on a guy who would have made their team even more scary. So I don't know why we're. What's up?
I don't get why they make it such a big deal. Like, I get tampering if like Rob Pelinka's like in a dark corner with like Giannis or something. Like, hey man, like we're gonna get this in place. Like you should come like this for like next summer. Like, come on, you should do it. But like if it's just like guys negotiating deals, the season's over, and do they actually expect me to believe that the Bulls were like, you know what, this is who our guy is. Let's call the Pelicans. All right, hey, you want to do a sign and trade for Lonzo? All right, here's the numbers all worked out. Lonzo's all happy. Okay, 3 minutes later, boom, Woj reports it. I'm not an idiot. The NBA is not an idiot. Like, what's the big deal if these get negotiated before? Who cares? Who really cares? Josh, where do you stand on like that? Like, just kind of talking before free agency and that kind of like lesser like form of tampering where it's just kind of negotiating deals before it's done because everyone does it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, unless it's like really bad, like they shouldn't be picking and choosing. And I kind of think tampering's a dumb rule because at the end of the day, it's like, the decision's really like the players in the front office. Like there is a chance to say no. Like, I mean, I think people forget to like, they think that like a lot of these guys are just duds that'll just like, oh, you know what, it sounds good, I'll do it. But like, and what's the harm in like Magic Johnson telling a player to come to the Lakers? There's no harm.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't understand.
I mean, George, are they saying like it's not fair because like the Bulls were the only team that broke the rules and talked to Lonzo? Is that what they're trying to send a message here? Because I don't think only the Bulls reached out to Lonzo Ball before the memoriam period of the NBA free agency.
I guess they're trying to send out the message. I don't think anyone necessarily cares. But then if this was so unfair, why aren't you punishing it the same as what you thought with the Bogey trade? You have to have some consistency here. You can't be like, we're going to think this for one thing and then we're going to think the same thing for the other, but not punish them. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't see the Bulls or the Heat getting fined. And there's the whole conspiracy, like big
Adam Silver
fined about it, But the Lakers got heavy tampering fines.
And it was like one of them was Magic saying, "Oh, I think Yanni's going to bring a championship to Milwaukee one day." Adam Silver fined him, said, "Don't talk about our other players like that."
The biggest tampering fine was the Bucks owner saying he wanted to re-sign Giannis.
Wait, was that last year?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god, I missed that.
God,
they double struck them. What is Adam Silver have against Milwaukee?
I think it was actually the year before they re-signed him. So it's like a season ticket thing. He's like, without like the season ticket holders, he's like, we want to re-sign Giannis.
So he's still under contract.
It's whack. It's whack. But yeah,
if they were deciding to do that, then every GM or owner should be fine right now.
Yeah, we should get just new slate, bringing new people that are going to follow the rules like the good Samaritans they are. But moving on, me and George have an apology to make because we kind of made a mountain out of a molehill with the Kawhi Leonard situation. And we knew he was staying with the Clippers, but I was like, he's going to, milk them for all their worth, Kawhi Leonard, as of today, Friday, August 13th, I think it dropped yesterday. The details are out that he's staying long-term, 4 years, $178 million. Still very unlikely to play this season. But, they bring back guys like Reggie Jackson. They got the whole group back together. And like George was saying, a lot of impressive rookies that they're going to see what they got. Plus PG playing the one, which is always very, very fun to watch. So, Josh, are you surprised that he signs 4 years? Relieved? What do you kind of think of it?
I think this kind of shows that he's invested with the Clippers. He had a good chance to just do a one-on-one But I guess Kawhi sees that the Clippers are in good contention. They brought everybody back, which I said is probably what he was waiting on. And now that they have, I feel like he thinks that he has a solid team. He can take kind of his time to recover because his team probably won't fall out of the playoffs without him in the regular season. We'll have to see how competitive the West is. But the Clippers are in a good position. If they kind of squeeze into like the 6th, 7th role and then Kawhi kind of comes back, maybe they take a team by surprise and kind of use that like underestimate as kind of fuel to lead them farther into the playoffs. But I'm not really surprised considering the Clippers kind of did what they had to do in terms of off-season moves.
Yeah, the Clippers are great in the underdog role. Everyone knows that. So if they squeeze in like a 7 seed, Kawhi comes back. Good luck to the Nuggets, whoever the hell's that 2nd seed.
Might be Lemmicky and the crew.
They're gonna play the Jazz again. And
George, you saw Kawhi Leonard at Summer League.
We did.
Is he playing this season? How do you look on that leg?
Looked like he was limping a lot. Not gonna lie.
Well, he did have surgery.
Yeah, I know. I still think he's not going to play. He locked up a long-term deal. I think he should be cautious here because it gets tricky. He's going to be 33 at the end of this. He will be eligible for the Supermax. A lot of people thought he was going to do the 1+1 and then get that 5-year deal to lock into it. He'll be 33 at the end of this deal, presuming he opts out. I think he will, no matter what. Then he can get a 5-year, which would take him to 38. That would probably just, be like the end of it. That's like his last hurrah, last big contract. So I think he takes his time here. I think he was doing that regardless, just the way he takes care of himself and what he said about, how he wants to be able to still be able to like play after he retires with his kids and all that. So I don't think he returns this year, honestly. I mean, maybe if they get 2nd round conference finals and it's like, okay, we got a shot to win again. Maybe he comes back.
He comes off like just raw, just like conference finals.
And maybe I'm proven wrong. I'm not trying to put my knowledge in here, but I don't see him coming back. But it was interesting him signing the 3-year. Like I said, the 1+1. He signs it, whatever gets his 35, 40 mil, and then gets to opt into a bigger contract. The Clippers are going to give him whatever he wants, no matter what. Ballmer will pay the pretty penny. He has shown that he's not afraid to spend a lot. So no matter what, he got long-term here. We'll see with his health. Maybe he doesn't trust his body long-term. That's why he locked it up here. But good deal all around. Good for Kawhi, and hope he recovers well.
Josh, George mentioned in the middle of his argument there, breaking down the contract situation, that Kawhi is going to be pretty damn old when this contract ends. He's 33 now, I believe George said, right?
30.
He's 33 at the end of this. At the end of the 3 years.
Oh, okay.
He's
so he's
30 currently.
So he's going to take him to 33. Okay.
Yes,
and then we saw this offseason too. Guys like Jimmy getting paid long term. Durant doesn't really count because his game is just timeless. But he's going to also be pretty old. So what's kind of your take on these old players really getting paid deep into their 30s? Is it you go
Steph
vegan?
Also,
but
Steph, and then probably Lillard when he's up for a big contract again. But I mean, I don't know because I get the investment, but is this just like a we're adding extra years just because like we want to thank you? Like, I mean, this is kind of a business after all. I don't know. To be honest, it's just it seems interesting to me because we're seeing a lot of those, and not all these players are going to have like the LeBron James last year's, where it's like they're competing until they literally hang them up. Like, we're not going to have that. I mean, like a lot of these players, especially like Jimmy Butler, like they rely pretty heavily on their body. Durant's probably just the outlier. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It kind of baffles me a little bit, and I'm sure that there's going to be a team that pays Kawhi like a big 4-year after his Clipper days.
Not worried about that.
I mean, we kind of need to learn not to judge a book by its cover when these contracts come out because no one really expected the Chris Paul contract to work out how it did, where he declines the last year of his contract at 37 declines $47 million for that year.
But George, are you paying 41-year-old Chris Paul $47 million?
Well, he's getting paid 30 right now to be 41 at the end of his contract.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he'd be getting 41 for his age 37 season. He wouldn't be getting 41 at 41
Oh,
or
right.
whatever.
So would you still be?
He's
want to pay Chris
37
Paul
right
30
now. So
What's
at the end of
the question, Josh?
this
So would you want
4-year
to pay
deal, he's
Chris Paul
41.
30 years, 30 million for 41?
I think there's really nothing that you can do. You bite the bullet on that. I think he's shown that he's still able to play, and this was like his healthiest season ever. His play can transition into an older age.
And doesn't it become dead cap if he retires in the middle of the year? Like, they still owe him that money, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's a different situation with this Kawhi thing, though. Like, this is all the Clippers really have right now.
I didn't realize Kawhi was, like, that young. So, like, that's my bad. But it's still something that we should talk about, especially with, like, Jimmy Butler. Like, Jimmy Butler's not going to be the same player that he is. Like, we kind of see it every year that he just, like, slowly declines. And
But we all thought that Chris Paul Houston Rockets contract was horrible, and now look at it.
And it's another thing, Josh. Look, they have literally no choice but to give him the 5 years. If they let him walk, that's worst case scenario. Kawhi has a ton of leverage here. He revitalized this franchise, brought him out from the dead essentially, because they felt
Paul
they were.
George did that, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, you can get subjective here and be like, well, he was only coming if he got PG or whatever, but I just think they don't have a choice. They can't let him walk, and they should give him whatever he wants, because if he goes...
I can't wait to talk about the Clippers in our divisions. I can't wait to talk about the Clippers. Gosh. But yeah, and I agree with it's just bizarre to me that it's just become like such a thing that like teams do like instantly. Like there's not one team that's like even like reconsidering it, because like I mean I'm in agreement with you at the end of the day. Like these are the players that make your team, these are the players that make you compete. So it's like no matter what they want, like bring them back. But it's like I don't know. It seems like every team just hopes for the best. And like we've seen some work out, and like I feel like one of them is just not going to work out, and they're caught in like a dead hole. Like I hate to bring it up, George, but paying Kobe Bryant, like it's Kobe Bryant, obviously, but like that put him in a bad spot for a couple of years. So I mean, they got lucky with LeBron, but I'm saying,
I mean, who the hell were they signing in 2014?
And also,
Exactly.
I mean, it was a good look. It showed guys like they take care of their stars.
Yeah, they take care of their players. But like, what about these small market teams?
Well, I think the fact for the Clippers is that they know they can't attract big free agents outside of they really haven't had a good reputation of it. And now they get him.
Yeah, every day that's still a crazy thing. They got both Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, so you pay them the long term. Maybe it entices someone else to come down the line.
It's just interesting to look at. It's not really like an argumentative. Sorry to cut you off, but
you're fine.
It's just interesting to really realize. Because,
no, you're right, because like in the Chris Paul situation, I get it. Like, would you really want to offer him at that age that money? And there's just so many other contracts. Like you're looking at Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a different thing though, because Miami can attract free agents, but it's like he took him to the finals, in that year, and they're trying to pair him up with Bam. I think you just have to look at it different. There's so many different scenarios with certain teams. Some just are locked into it because they need to keep them relevant, and others are just they're worth that money, which I think Kawhi is both in this case.
Right.
Good dialogue, but I'm going to call it because I am a little bit tired and I got work tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for watching or listening again on YouTube. Hello, just THHoopers on YouTube. Will be a vlog at the end of the weekend, so look out for that. Also, another episode on Monday. Do you guys want to start divisions, or do you think there'll be enough news?
We'll see. We'll talk about it.
I mean, anything can happen.
We'll see. So you got to tune in Monday, and then a lot of stuff happened in Vegas. That's not going to stay in Vegas. It's going to be in a vlog form. So look out for that. And then Instagram at THHoopers, Twitter G_Martin21, TikTok. Don't look at that just yet because I don't think George is going to post this weekend.
George, please don't renegade to bad NBA takes. Like we will shut the project down very quickly if I see I don't even know what
real hoopers no Kobe top 3, and George is like renegading.
And he's like,
yeah, I'm gonna blow a gasket.
Why don't you say so?
We're gonna get copyrighted, man. But yeah, tweet at George G_Martin21. He's never caught lacking without his phone. Enjoy the weekend. Thanks for being OG and everyone. Take care.